Hi everyone, I'm Miss Willis. I am the media specialist at Lake Hiawatha School. Today I am going to teach you how to do Crayligraphy or calligraphy using Crayola markers. So calligraphy means beautiful lettering, and today we're going to be using Crayola markers, which hopefully you might have a few at home, to make calligraphy. So beautiful lettering. If you take a look here, you'll notice that the Crayligraphy is written in calligraphy or beautiful lettering, and you'll see that it has a thick downstroke, a thin upstroke, and you can kind of see that there's differences between some of the strokes in this writing. There's thick lines, there's thin lines, and when you do calligraphy, you want to make sure that you have a difference in your thin and thick lines, and I'm going to show you a little bit more what I mean about that. So here I have a paper. It kind of shows you that you'll be making some thin upstrokes and some thick downstrokes. If you take the word cat here, you'll notice that you would start here at the top of your C. You would come down and you would have a thick downstroke right here. As you're about to start moving up, you come on a thinner line, and then you would actually pick up your pen and come here, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, and then you'd cross your T for the letter cat. So while you're writing, kind of like in cursive, you're going to want to make sure that you're having thick downstrokes and thin upstrokes. Let's see. One of the things I do to practice the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes is something called basic strokes. So with your Crayola marker, you'll notice that you have a tip like this, and you have a point at the top, and then you kind of have these thicker sides of your marker. You're going to want to use the tip of your Crayola marker when you're doing your thin upstroke. There's less marker at the top, so you'll get less of a line. If you kind of use the side on your thick downstroke, you'll get a thicker line from your marker, so you'll be able to make your thick downstroke. Let me see. If I were you, and if you have some extra paper laying around, maybe try to grab a piece of paper and some Crayola markers, and what you can do is you can start practicing. So what you'll do is, if it's a thin upstroke, this first basic stroke that you'll want to make sure you do that moving in the upward motion. So keep your pen and pencil grip the same way, start at the bottom and move up. So I'm just going to kind of copy this line a little bit. Thin upstroke, thin upstroke, thin upstroke. See how I made some thin upstrokes with my purple line? Now what I want to do is I want to try for a thick downstroke. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to move downward. I'm going to switch over to some blue right now. So I'm going to start at the top, and then I'm going to try to use the side of my marker so that it creates a thicker line. And you might want to apply a little bit of pressure to your marker so that you're making sure that you get a thicker line as you move down. So thick down, thick down, thick down, thick down, thick down, thick down, thick down. See the difference? So the thin was purple, thin up, thick down with the blue, and my next basic stroke is actually a thin stroke connected to a thick stroke. So let's see, let me grab another color for that. Maybe I'll use some red. So to make this stroke, to practice it, you'll do thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, so on and so forth. You're going to need to kind of take a little bit more time doing this and think about it, because you're going to have to transition from a thin stroke to a thick stroke while you're still writing. So it gets a little bit trickier when you're adding the two different densities in your strokes. So thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down. See? So try these basic strokes. These are really, really helpful in order for you to build muscle memory for making thin strokes and your thick strokes when you start to write full letters or words. Your next stroke is a circle. you will use this stroke all the time. It's in the letter A, it's in the letter C, it's in the letter D. It's in a lot of your calligraphy letters. So let me pull another color, maybe some orange. We're running out of colors. Again, you'll start with a thin stroke. You'll start kind of like off to the side here and come around. Thick down, thin up. Thick down, thin up. Thick down, thin up. So try that one out there too. Thick down, thin up. Thick down, thin up. Thick down, thin up. See? We have two more basic strokes. They're a little less common but important to learn. We have this one and this one. You will start, let me grab my purple. You'll start this stroke on this side, so thin to thick. Thin, thick, thin, thick. This one you'll start over here. This is like in your letter B or your F, your L. You'll start here. You're going to come around thin up, thick down. Thin up, thick down. Thin up, thick down. So you can try those too. If you are really serious about practicing this, you can stop and start this video right now so you can give yourself a little bit of time to practice these basic strokes, and also revisit this video later on if you want to really practice Crayligraphy. Really, the key to learning Crayligraphy or most calligraphy styles is getting the difference between a thin stroke and a thick stroke in your lines. So if you notice here, I practice those three basic strokes at the bottom. So why don't you give yourself, maybe pause the video, give yourself a little time to do a page of these basic strokes. They're extremely, extremely helpful. And whenever I'm doing some calligraphy, I always practice. It's kind of like doing some jumping jacks before you go for a run or stretching. It's kind of a good warm up to what you'll be doing next. Right here I have, let's see, my next page. This is actually a good illustration. It'll show you. So this is the word dog, right? So you'll see you would come on a thin stroke, you would come thick down, thin up, thick down. And what I did is I just kind of doubled back. I used only the thin part of my marker, and what I would do in order to get the thick stroke is you want where these doubles are to be thick. So let me show you what that would look like now that you've seen it. It'll look like calligraphy if you make sure to double down on your thick strokes. Okay. Now it's a lot easier to read, right? You have the thin up strokes, the thick down, and that shows you the word dog written in Crayligraphy. We'll revisit that as well in a little bit. So here I have a lowercase alphabet. So take a look at this right here. You might want to pause this so that you can make some of these letters on your own. This right here is your letter A. As you can see, it's in alphabetical order. But what you want is you'll have a thin little tail in, and then you'll come around that basic stroke, thick down, thin up, thick down. You'll have that basic stroke that we had right here, see? In your letter B, you start right here, you come thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, and around. Tail in, come around, thick down. It's like half of that circle basic stroke. Your D, you have thin up, come up here, thick down, thin up, thick down, so on and so forth. As you get more practice with your thin and thick strokes, you'll be able to look at an alphabet like this and have a better idea of how to make these letters. I'm going to take a picture of these and upload them to my Google Classroom and also share them with the other media specialists so that you can have a copy of this paper too while you're working. I'm going to see if there's any tricks. So your letter F, you have here, so thin up, thick down, thin up, then same thing. Your G is kind of like your A, but you're going to go down and come back up. H is the same basic stroke here. I-J-K-L, let's see, M-N-O-P-Q-R-S-T-U-V-W-X-Y-Z. So yes, I will link these for you so that you can even print this out if you'd like, and then you can kind of just trace over it, which would be kind of cool. I have your uppercase alphabet here. As a calligrapher myself, in my spare time, I really only practice my lowercase alphabet, and the reason for that is so infrequently will I use uppercase letters. I don't have to use uppercase letters unless I'm writing a proper noun, the beginning of a sentence. So I really stick to practicing my lowercase ones. So as a recommendation to you, I would practice your lowercase letters first, because you'll use them more often, and then you can kind of practice your uppercase letters as needed. I'll also take a picture of that so you can trace it as well. I'm going to include some numbers for you. And then I kind of wanted to show you a little bit about connecting your letters. So for example, let me go back to our dog. We have the word dog, which I showed you the thick lines. Here is me writing it out completely. And then here is kind of how I break up my letters. So I have my thin up, then I come around, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up. And then I kind of curl it to go to my G. Then it's thick down, thin up, thick down, thin up. So you're really breaking up your letters by basic stroke and really slow. Like this is a slow practice. You're going to want to take your time when you're making your letters and connecting a letter to the other. So for example, I have the letter book here. Here I wrote the word book out, but you'll see, you'll do your basic stroke B, O, connect. Then you'll come around, O, connect. O, connect into your K, thick down, thin up, thick down. Whew. So that is a very, very quick tutorial on calligraphy or Crayligraphy. Again, I'm going to link these pictures so that you can copy the letters. That's probably going to be one of the easiest things to start with, so you can start to understand how to create your letters. But the key really to Crayligraphy is the thin up strokes and your thick down strokes. So good luck. I hope you had fun. And maybe I can even do a follow-up video sometime too, give you a little bit more information if you're interested.